musicals, or vaudeville as they're called in America, were the most popular form of entertainment before the Second World War, and hugely so before the First World War. And they served really as a magnet for everybody, and they were used very effectively to recruit young men to go and fight in the trenches of the First World War. And in fact, in the foyer of the theatre on the way out, there were recruiting booths for men to sign up, and many of them did, of course. They used to go into the music hall, and many music halls you could buy drinks and things there, and so you'd sit and listen to something like this. We've watched you playing cricket and every kind of game. At football, golf and polo you men have made your name. But now your country calls you to play your part in war. No matter what befalls you, we shall love you all the more. So come and join the forces, as your fathers did before. Oh, we don't want to lose you, but we think you ought to go. For your king and your country both need you so. We shall want you and miss you, but with all our might and main, we shall cheer you, thank and bless you when you come back again. Well, of course, many didn't come back, but the whole idea of this sort of theatre thing, how theatre pumped up the war, was very important to recruiting, and it was also another way was to have marching bands, and often on the stage, but also in the streets. And the whole idea of the theatre of war gave me an idea for a piece of work, because my grandfather had been killed on the Western Front in the First World War, and I thought theatre of war, of course, a theatre of war means a different sort of theatre to the one where the young men had been recruited. So I went over to the Western Front to see where it had been organised there, and this is what I found. First of all, I was interested in where my grandfather was remembered. His body disappeared completely, but there in the Tyncott Cemetery I found his name right in the middle, and I've put some flowers there, some roses actually, in this huge, largest war cemetery in the world actually. And there he is on the wall, his name is on there, Jack Butler. But then I wanted to know where it was actually being organised from on the Western Front, and here I went to Spa, which is a very smart, well, Spa, the original Spa, in Belgium, where the Kaiser and his Hindenburg and Ludendorff, the generals, actually lived for most of the First World War. And this place in the middle is a place where you could sit out in the sunshine or in the rain, and you could. It was used with German officers who were recuperating here. But the generals and the Kaiser himself had their palace here. They lived in Spa, and on the left and the right are these panels where with the names of all the illustrious people down the ages from the Romans onwards who had lived or stayed or holidayed in Spa. So they were living quite well during the First World War. But they weren't the only ones, so I thought then I'll go and see where the British were running things from. And we talked about theatre of war. Well, I couldn't believe it, what I found. I hadn't planned this at all. Serendipity. And there, in the town of Montreux, is a theatre. And that theatre was used as the headquarters for General Haig during the First World War for the Western Front, believe it or not. It has been modernised since, but that was the site of the main discussions and the main deployments of the First World War. It's from there that the decisions were made. On the left and the right are the names again
of people on the Menin Gate, which were being cleaned when they had this black paint on when I was there, including, again, the name of my my grandfather, whose body has no known grave. And I put these three things together in a triptych with his the Tyncott in the middle and the British headquarters on one side and the German on the other. And I've never actually shown this piece, but it's one of those things where as an artist you plan things out, but then you're suddenly caught by surprise and you find you've done something that goes beyond what you intended. Sometimes not as far, but in this case it did go beyond, because I actually found a theatre. So when I thought of Theatre of War, not only was the title apt, but it was even more apt when the First World War was planned in a theatre, certainly from the British side. Well, let's go back to this then. Goodbye, goodbye, wipe the tear, baby dear, from your eye. Though it's hard to know, I know, I'll be tickled to death to go. Don't cry, don't sigh, there's a silver lining in the sky. Bonsoir, old thing, cheerio, chin chin, now poo, toodaloo, goodbye. Of course, the music hall has gone now, more or less, and we sit down, and popular entertainment now is on TV. That's the nearest equivalent, I would think. But can you imagine if you had some sort of recruiting sergeant standing up there and singing or talking a lot of bullshit, and you're sitting back and thinking them saying to you how wonderful it is and how wonderful things are going to be. The war is having a lovely time, nobody's under threat, it's all coming out, the sun's coming out, it's going to be great. Join up, go out, and so on and so forth. Can you imagine what you'd think if you saw 2 or 3 people standing up and saying that to you? You'd think, that doesn't sound quite right, it sounds like bullshit to me. Could it happen?